Hello there, crafty friends, and welcome to a new video. This is going to be my creative exercise video number 1. It is based off of a book that I read last year called Daily Creative by Todd Henry, and I did do a quick book review about this particular book, and that was my last video, so make sure you check that out in my description box below, or sorry, in my YouTube channel, and then also in my description. So the prompt for today will be based off of January 20th. And I actually read a little bit about that in the book review, but I'm going to read a little bit more in this particular video. But for starters, if you are new to my channel or you're fairly new to the series, everybody's new to this series because this is the first time I'm doing this. But what I am trying to challenge myself this year is to go through that daily creative book and just grab some prompts there that would help me to kind of think outside the box, to be more of a creative or an artist as I create my scrapbooks versus just what I am doing or what I've been doing this time. Not that what I have been doing is not good, but I just want to think outside the box and kind of see where that takes me. So for this prompt, it is January 20th. And the title of the prompt is How You Do Anything. And I'm just going to read a little bit about the page of the book just to kind of give you an idea of where I'm coming from when I'm working with this page. So it says, you cannot control what happens tomorrow. You can control how you do whatever it is you're doing right now. Train yourself to be fully and completely immersed in what you are doing at the moment, and it will become a habit. Now is all that matters. We waste far too much time worrying that something out there might be more important than what's in front of us. And as a result, we fail to bring our full faculty to the very thing we are doing. We are being robbed not just of our effectiveness, but of our very lives. Focus us on what's in front of you right now. So that's the prompt that I took here. And so the idea is that that's what is going through my head as I'm creating the scrapbook page. So with this particular one, I took that prompt of focus on what's in front of you. And I just so happened that if you had watched my last scrapbook process video, it's actually a collaboration with a few scrapbookers here on YouTube. And I created a page using pictures, fall family pictures. And these are, I don't want to say leftovers, but they are part of that series of photos, and they were what's in front of me. Another thing that was what was in front of me were these papers that I also used for that particular page or that's process video. So that's the prompt that I took. I took the same papers, not exactly the same exact papers, but the paper pad was in front of me, and then the pictures. So that's where I'm coming from with this. Now, I was thinking to myself, what kind of page can I do with these photos, because I've already scrapbooked kind of the, the what, where, and why we took these photos. And I just remembered that every year for our Christmas cards, I do a quick like year in review, and it has, a little bit snippets of each of us and kind of the highlights of each family member's year. And so I decided that, well, why not use that, the journaling of that, and kind of use that as a prompt. And so I picked out some pictures, solo pictures of my kids, and then a picture of me and my husband together, and then of course a family picture. And then my journaling will be that kind of year in review. And the fun thing about that was, because I saved all of them on my computer, is I just went to that year, which was 2021, and I pulled out that journaling and then I printed it out. Like, I didn't have to sit there and type it, think about it, even though that was almost 3 years ago, I didn't have to think about it because the journaling was done. And I really, really like that. And another thing that I was thinking of with the idea of focus on what's in front of me is if you've ever seen my latest scrapbook area or scrapbook corner tour, you will know that on my table I have just a little bit of shelving and it has a few things on there. And then I have this really tall kind of DIY IKEA shelf that I put together. I put 3 shelves together and to make that a really tall one, and that's on my right, and then I have all my papers on the left. And so the idea for what's in front of me, I also use that by looking around me, like where I'm sitting, just looking around that area and seeing what I can use. And one of those things is, of course, my border punches, because my punches are just within arm's length. And so that's what I did. I pulled out a punch, and then you're going to see me later. I'm also going to pull out something that I haven't pulled out before, or it's been a long time since I've used it in any of my scrapbooks, but it's right there sitting in front of me. And if you wait till the end of the video, you will see that particular product that I'm talking about. So just like with anything that I do, I started off with a sketch actually, and this was Creative Memory Sketch. And the thing that I loved about it is it had blocks of paper on the left side of the double page spread, and that helped me to use up some of the papers that I really liked from this paper pad. And like I said, I pre-printed the journaling already, and that's just a year in review. And I'm gonna find a place for that. Initially in the sketch, it went on the left side, but my block is way too big, and it's just gonna cover all of the papers and the panels that I've created on the left side. So I'm thinking I need to trim down. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trim down my photos and see how that all looks. I'm going to trim them, make them shorter, but also make them skinnier later on, just because they're 4x6, and not that 4x6 is not a good size, but lately I like more photos in my double page layout, and so 4x6 just kind of seems a little too big of a photo for me when it comes to double page layouts. But I'm gonna kind of think about it. I'm also gonna trim out my family photo, just because again, I did a lot of work on the cutting of the papers, and there's a lot of beautiful designs on the pattern paper, and I didn't want to cover them too much. So I'm gonna kind of think about how I'm going to incorporate all of these things without losing, of course, my photos and my journaling and also my paper. So while I'm kind of mulling that over in my head, I am going to go ahead and mat my family photo on white cardstock, because I know that that's going to be on top of all that pattern paper, and I want to make sure that that stands out a little bit more when I adhere it right on top of that, the blocks of paper. And if you have not read or watched, my book review, this is a book that I read last year with a team at my work. And I've just found it really interesting because it delved into creativity, and it gave you prompts on how to be more prolific, how to keep a healthy creative side. And it gave me a new perspective on creating that, especially with scrapbooking, like sometimes we feel like we're just gluing paper and pictures together. But if you've ever taken an art class or a design class, you know that there are specific things that you do with your artwork that would make them more pleasing to the eye, and that would make more sense because you're following elements of art and principles of design. And so this idea just made me think that, even though we're just scrapbooking, we're creating, we're artists. So why not think like an artist? So that's kind of where I'm coming from with this. So as I was moving things around, I realized that, you know what, I'm just going to move these square panels to the farthest left side of my page, and then move my journaling to the farthest right. I felt like that was the best case scenario, or more, like it was just the more balanced way of creating this layout, instead of covering up all of those beautiful squares with my journaling. And so I'm just adhering the left side now. I did finish adhering the right sides together. And if you're new to my channel, or you're new to my way of creating, this is pretty much what I do. Is I cut them, design them without adhering anything, and then when I'm all ready and I want to commit, then I start adhering. I know some people don't like that because things shift and move around, but for me, I like it because it gives me a little bit of breathing room to kind of change my mind if I wanted to. And if you guys are wondering, this paper pad that I got is from Michaels. I can't remember the name, but it has some home designs on it, and just a bunch of beautiful flowers. And then again, another thing that I was taking into consideration is the idea of, like what it said in the prompt, is let's not worry about what's out there. Let's worry about what's in front of us. And I was doing this during winter break. I have to be honest with you. I do like mass filming of process videos when I'm off my work, because sometimes I just don't have the time during the weekday, or during when things are all busy, for me to create as much as I want to create daily. That's just not possible with my schedule. And so I block the time during my breaks to make or to create. And so one of the things that I was thinking about, like what it says in the prompt, is focus on what's in front of you. Don't think about what tomorrow is, or what is out there, or would this be pleasing to, other stakeholders. And to be honest with you, before, when I was scrapbooking for magazines and things like that, I did know that my stakeholders were the publishers, were the editors, the ones that are picking and choosing which layouts go into the magazine. But thankfully now, when it comes to my paper crafting, not that I don't consider you as a subscriber or a watcher a stakeholder, but really it takes away the pressure of creating something that would wow people, when it's not something that I'm feeling at that moment. So for me, another kind of aha moment for me is the idea of not trying to please people, and just creating for you. Focus on what's in front of you. And I feel like if you have created at any point in your life, you would totally understand that, because sometimes when we think about what others would think about our project, it really takes away from the joy of creating, because you're trying to please people other than yourself. I'm sorry for my voice. I do have a cough and a cold right now, but I just thought I was well enough to do this voiceover, but apparently not. So, but we'll see. We are going to plug through. So I'm almost done with this. I've adhered everything that I needed to adhere. I will pop up with the picture of my family, just because I feel like it needed to stand out a little bit more on the layout. So I have my journaling, I have my photos. Next that I'm going to be working on is my title. And I found this, you're going to see it later, but I have this cut out that it's an SVG file that I cut out from my Silhouette Cameo. And it just says currently. And I thought that was a really apropos title for kind of a year in review type of layout is what is currently happening to each family member. And I would strongly recommend to do that at the end of the year. I don't know if you do that for your Christmas cards. I just so happen to do that because I have a lot of family that, it's not anywhere near us, or we don't, family and friends that we don't connect on a regular basis. So it's kind of good to kind of give them a review of what happened to us that year. But again, it's also good because then at the end you have that journaling of what's happening that year. Now, this currently cut apart or cut file has the arrow part, and I thought of putting that, of course, on the left side first because that's where the placement of the title is on the sketch, but I felt like, no, it doesn't really work because it's just going to get covered up, or it's not going to show really well with the flowers. So it didn't really work out on the left side, so I decided to put it on the right side. And then I was going to put it over kind of in the center so that I can grab the tail ends of the arrow cut, but I just felt like it would be really, like, it would just be better if it was right on top of the journaling. So I cut that part out, and then I added year in review with small letter stickers. And then I also punched out some butterflies with purple. And then I used my hexagon, and then I cut out 2 different kinds of paper, again from the same paper pad, and I'm just going to layer that. Again, focusing on what's in front of me. This was leftovers from the previous project that I created, and then the butterfly punch that I rarely use was also sitting on the wall right in front of me. So again, if you are looking into being thinking outside the box or kind of doing something different, what about focusing on what's in front of you? And this is what I was telling you about in the beginning of the video, or something that I haven't used in a very long time, which is ribbon. I have a few small, maybe like half an inch of ribbon sitting in front of me. I have one of those old cassette shelving, and so it works perfectly with the little things like ink pads. And then I also have some ribbons on there, just little things that I like to just be able to pull out when I am working, such as this time. And so I figured, hey, you know what, why not use ribbon? Again, it's been forever since I have used ribbon in my scrapbook, but again, going through the prompt to focus what's in front of me, and that's what I'm doing here. Focus on what's in front of you could also be just like focusing on your project and not thinking about what others might say about it, or what, kind of just overthinking it. That could also be something that you might want to consider. But for me, I wanted to take it literally and figuratively. Another thing that I am pulling, that it's been a while since I've done, are stamps. And again, they are sitting right on that DIY shelf that I created with 3 different kinds of smaller shelves. And if I remember, I'm going to link in the description box below the video that I created for that particular DIY organizational tool or organizational shelving. But I really like how most of my supplies are just within arm's length. Now, I said most because there are still a few things that I use that are in the same room, but not quite so close to where I have to like stand and walk maybe like 20 steps to get to some of my supplies. But for the most part, all of my supplies are within surrounding me in arm's length. So I really like that. So I'm just going to stamp a few words here that would evoke the continue to evoke the theme that I'm going for, which is a year in review or memories or snapshot or things like that. And I am just going to clean my stamp and then put them away. My stamps are Technique Tuesday. If you're wondering, I don't think Technique Tuesday is business, or maybe they are. I'm not sure. Some of these products I've had for many years, but I'm going to use the layered hexagon paper and then put my butterflies on top of that to create my visual triangle. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to add some foam adhesive to that, but I will add my butterfly with just some liquid glue. Again, I don't want my pages to be too thick, because when I put them in my albums, they kind of bend and bow here and there, and I don't really like that. So if I'm going to use some foam adhesive, I'm only going to do one layer, and then the rest will be just like, on top of the papers and things like that. So thank you so much for watching and bearing with me till close to the end. Not quite the end yet, but close to the end. If you have any questions, make sure that you leave that in the comment section below. If you would like to participate in my personal challenge, I encourage you to do so. And if you are interested with that book, I do have the link in the description box below. So you can check that out on Amazon or wherever, of course, you purchase your books. But I really think that as crafters or as scrapbookers, we can always think of ourselves as artists. We are legit artists, in my opinion. And so we can think like one. And part of that is gaining inspiration from prompts such as the ones that we see in the Daily Creative book. Again, the Daily Creative, it has a prompt every day, so there's 365 prompts. And because I'm not going to do 365 videos, although that would be a really amazing challenge to do, not at this season of my life, but later on, I'm going to call this series Creative Exercises, because I really think that as I create these kinds of layouts, that they become an exercise in just thinking outside the box and doing things that I wouldn't normally do on a regular basis. And I'm just trimming out the words so that I can add that to my little visual triangle. And as you can see, I'm adding 2 of the hexagons on the right side, and then I'm going to do 1 on the left side. And then as I'm finishing this off, I'm also thinking that I needed a little bit more texture to this layout. And again, if you remember from the last video, I had purple Nuvo drops out because I was using that because it complemented, or it pulled the purple from the photos that I have. And so since it was already on my table from finishing the previous video, I just decided to pull that again, and I'm going to create some just dots around that orange paper on the left side. And I really like how it turned out because it added a little bit more texture, very subtle, but it adds some more interest to the left side. And I will have some close-up shots at the end of this video. So again, thank you so much for watching. And if you like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing, and also hitting the bell button so that YouTube will notify you of my next video. Until then, have a great day. Bye.